بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So the continuing of the ninth fasl, where we're discussing mubtada and khabar, we are now discussing أحوال الخبر, the different circumstances of the khabar. So he says here ويقع الخبر. So it's والخبر. So this is atf on the previous at the top. He says here ويقع المبتدأ, and then you have it, and then والخبر أي ويقع الخبر. And the khabar can occur, then he explains it. Let's summarize it first. So the khabar can be a mufrad. He doesn't mention that in the book, but it's so obvious. Yes, so for example, Zaydun qa'imun. So qa'imun is a khabar. What is it? A qawlun mufradun. Okay? You can also have the khabar as what? What can you have it as? A jumla. So for example, Zaydun yaqumu. Yaqumu becomes what? It's a khabar, it's a fa'il, and the fa'il is zamir mustatir huwa in sign. That becomes the khabar. So the whole jumla becomes a khabar. Or the khabar can be a shibhu jumla, whether it's jar majroor, like Zaydun fil bayti, or whether it's zarf, as in Zaydun indal bayt. Both are the same, jar majroor or zarf, have the same rulings. The only thing is that indal bayt, that will be mansoob, and fil bayt is fiz mabni, so you won't have any i'rab on that one. So the khabar can come in three conditions: mufrad, jumla, shibul jumla, and the shibul jumla is jar majroor or zarf. Everybody following? Okay. وَيَقَوْ الْخَبَرُ جُمْلَةً لَهَا رَابِطٌ. The khabar must be a sentence which has what? A? Beware of dad jokes. Must have what? A rabbit. No cats, no dogs, just rabbits. What's rabata yarbitu rabtan mean? To join together. So it must have a rabit. And this rabit is that which joins two things together. So rabit wa rabatna ala qulubihim, to tie something together, to join something together. Okay? So wa yaqa'ul khabaru jumlatan. The khabar can occur as a jumla which has a rabit. This is the knot of the jumla, which has a rabit. You following? Something which joins the jumla to the khabar. So for example, I can't say Zayd al-baytu kabirun. I can't say that this is mubtada, this is the khabar. Is there anything linking al-baytu kabirun to Zayd? It's like two separate things. If I have, for example, Zaydun, and I have baytuhu, what do I have? Now who's the rabbit? Who does what? It goes back to Zayd. Now that jumla has a rabbit. You following? That's what it means. Now what is this rabbit going to be? So every jumla which becomes the khabar, it must have a rabbit. It must have a connector to the mubtada. Something which links the mubtada to the khabar. Make sense? And this rabbit can either be wild or domesticated. Sorry, this rabbit joke's not really funny. This rabbit can either be what? A dhamir. So for example, we have Zaydun abuhu qa'imun. So abuhu is a dhamir. So we have here, Zaydun is what in tarkeeb? What's Zaydun becoming? And abuhu qa'imun becomes what? Khabar. And what's the rabbit in here? Who. The who is linking the khabar to the mubtada. So if the dhamir links the mubtada to the khabar, which is the jumla. Understood? Yes? Or it can be ismun ishara. For example, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. So libasu taqwa is what? Correct, becomes mubtada, and dhalika khair becomes what? Khabar. What's the rabit in here? Because dhalika is pointing back to or referring back to libasu taqwa. So now the rabit, the thing that joins the mubtada to the khabar, is dhalika. Understood? Yes? Or you can i'adatul mubtada'i nafsihi. You can just repeat the mubtada. For example, al-haqqatu mal-haqqa. So al-haqqa is what? Mubtada. And al-haqqa becomes the khabar. And this is made up of again mubtada and khabar. But the same exact word being repeated both places. So this is the rabit. Yes? You following? So by repeating the same word, that also becomes a rabit. And the fourth example of a rabit is umum. That if there's a word in the khabar which is more general than the mubtada. So for example, when you have fa'lul madhi wa dham, you would say here, you would say Zaydun is ni'ma rajul. So now Zaydun is mubtada. Okay. This is mubtada. This becomes the khabar. Yes? Now the rajul is jins. Is Zayd a part of rajul? Is Zayd a member of the genus of rajul? So this am word encompasses the mubtada. So umum can also be a rabit. So how many types of rabits do we have? 4. Either the khabar has a dhamir, the khabar has an ishara, you repeat the mubtada itself, or you have a word in the khabar which is general and it encompasses the mubtada within it. So these are 4 types of rabit, 4 types of connectors, assimilators, which allows the khabar to join to the mubtada. You just can't have a random sentence, Zaydun al-baytu kabirun, because Zayd and al-baytu kabirun have no link. I can't say Zaydun rijlik wasikhun. Zayd, my feet are dirty. How does Zayd link to my feet are dirty? It makes no sense. So you can have the khabar, but the khabar must be linked to the mubtada. Understood?
This means, this is talking about.
Pardon me? In Zaydun qa'imun, it's not a jumla. The qa'imun is a single word. Okay? So this is what he's saying here. Ji?
The one who does not accept the da'wah.
It is, but there's no need for a rabit. It only says, وَيَقَعُ الْخَبْرُ جُمْلَةً لَهَا رَابِطٌ. The khabar can be a jumla which has a rabit. If it's not a jumla, there's no need for a rabit. You understand? Okay. So he says here, وَيَقَعُ الْخَبْرُ جُمْلَةً لَهَا رَابِطٌ. The khabar can appear as a sentence which has a rabit, a connector. كَزَيْدٌ أَبُوهُ قَائِمٌ. What's the rabit in that sentence? Pardon me? The whole dhamir. What's the rabit in libasu taqwa ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ?
Those people who come to it للحاجة because they have
ذَلِكَ, which is an ismul ishara. What's the rabit in al-haqqa mal-haqqa? Repetition of the exact same word. And what is the rabit in Zaydun ni'ma rajul?
Yes, so in a walima, you should not only call them rich people.
Because rajul is umum. So rajul is a general word which encompasses Zayd. Do you understand this? Yes?
It's not saying that the walima
Okay.
is the problem of how the people give da'wah.
وَيَقَعُ الْخَبْرُ جُمْلَةً لَهَا رَابِطٌ إِلَّا فِي نَحْوِ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. He's saying here, there's one situation where the jumla is a khabar, but there is no rabit. There is nothing to link the mubtada to a khabar. Okay, when is this? Sometimes what the Arab do is when you want to draw somebody's attention, it's like when you're reading books, you start from the end. You start with the ending plot, or halfway in the middle of a story, and boom, the bomb exploded. Now you start in the middle of a story, you're just thinking, what's happened? Why did the bomb explode? He crawled his way out of the explosion. You're thinking, well, where does it start? Where does it end? It just makes you, it starts off with a bang, literally. Yes? Or it starts off with, he was, hanging off the mountain. So you're thinking, what's going on here? So you're not sure. So by doing certain things like this, it draws your attention. So one thing that draws your attention is if you have a dhamir, which isn't linked back to anything. So it's called dhamiru sha'n. What's it called? Dhamiru sha'ni. So what the Arabs do, you have a Dhamiru sha'ni. It's called Dhamiru sha'n, meaning it's just a dhamir. It doesn't refer to anything. You just bring it out of nowhere and it makes you think, what's going on here? You pay attention more. So for example, qul. What's the maqula? Huwa. So when you say huwa, who is it referring to? Huwa. Begin the surah. Qul. Huwa. Who is huwa? What is huwa? What are you talking about? So it should grab your attention. Allahu ahad. So the main information is Allahu ahad. By bringing a dhamiru sha'n, you've created emphasis. You've attracted the attention of the addressee. So let's say, for example, if I want to say, let's say, I say, qatala Zaydun asadan. Zayd was so brave. What did he do? He killed a lion. He hunted a lion. Yes? Now, I could say, huwa qatala Zaydun asadan. Now, this dhamir is not referring to anybody, because if it refers to Zayd, you would have a dhamir before the marji'. That doesn't make sense. Are you following? So now this is called dhamiru sha'an. You just bring a dhamir. It can be feminine as well. Yes? I start off a lecture. Huwa du'a'u. Huwa Allahu Rabbi. What's my main sentence? And huwa is what? What's huwa? Dhamiru sha'an. That is draws attention. Look, huwa. And you're thinking, who does huwa refer to? Yes? No. What we do in Tarkib, we say huwa is mubtada. The Dhamiru sha'an is a mubtada. And the sentence after it becomes what? The khabar. But do you need a rabit here?
I did not find anything except one.
No rabits here. Because Dhamiru sha'an is not even there for any grammatical purposes. It's just there simply to grab attention. It's there for meaning purposes. So when a jumla becomes the khabar, it must have a rabit except in the example of Qul huwallahu ahad. And this example refers back to any sentence where there is a Dhamiru sha'an. Ji, what's your question? Do you understand? So the first way you can have a khabar is as a mufrad. There's no rules of that. Or you can have it as a jumla. But the jumla must have what?
Whoever is put through difficult.
What must the jumla have?
Because of this mean is showing the reason. So it's
Yeah, so if the khabar is a jumla, then that jumla must have what within it to attach to the mubtada? A rabit. And that rabit must be what? Halal? No. Rabit must be what? It must be white and halal and fast. It must be what? The dhamir? Yeah, what are the four types? No, those are the four types of khabar. The khabar can be a mufrad, a jumla, or shibul jumla. Yes? Yes. Now when the khabar is a jumla, it must have a rabit to link the mubtada to the khabar. And what are these four rabit? Damir, ismul ishara, repetition of the same word, or jins or umum. Except which jumla does not need a rabit? When the mubtada is dhamiru sha'an. Good. And the other two places is shibhul jumla, number 3. Or وَيَقَعُ الْخَبَرُ ظَرْفًا مَنْصُوبًا وَجَارًا مَجْرُورًا. And the khabar can be a dharf, like for example, وَالرَّكْبُ مُبْتَدَى. Rakbu becomes what? And asfala minkum becomes what? The khabar. That's a dharf, it shows location. And the caravan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is depicting the Battle of Badr. So Abu Sufyan's caravan was going down south, not south, but the way they looked at it was downwards. So you were here and below you on the coast. Because we have the maps north-south. A lot of the maps are drawn west to east, or east to west to east, I think. Yes? So in that way, so in the coast, if you look at it here, this is the Arabian Peninsula, something like this. Medina, Mecca. But in those times, the maps are like this. They draw the map like this. So, and England is here, north. So north is on this side. So west, east is here, west is here. So the Muslims were here, and the caravan was here. وَالرَّكْبُ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ, below you. Yes? So the caravan is below you. That's another seerah masala. But the point here is, asfala is a zarf, and it is mansoob. So the khabar can be mubtad, the khabar can be a zarf mansoob. In this example, وَالرَّكْبُ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ, and the caravan was below you. Understood? وَجَارًا وَمَجْرُورًا. It can also be a jar and majroor. What can it be? A jar and a majroor. So for example, alhamdu, mubtada, jar, lillahi becomes the khabar. So the khabar can be a mufrad, a jumla, or a shibhul jumla. And the shibhul jumla can come in two forms. It can either be a zarf mansoob or a jar majroor. Understood? Everybody understand? Umar, you following? Muhammad, Abdullah, Abdul Rahman? Yes? So if you got a zarf mansoob or a jar majroor, they can also become the khabar. Understood? Pardon me? It's not marfu, because normally the khabar is in what state?
What did she do?
But here this zarf is going to be what state? Isn't it going to be what?
So she took this kajur and she split it in half and gave it half.
The asfala.
This matter like pleased me or made me astonished me.
Yeah. So even in inda and qabla. So if you have for example, ana indaka. So even that is mansoob. Look, indaka. The is mansoob as well. Yes? Understood? وتعلقهما بمستقر أو استقر محذوفتين. When you have the khabar as shibhul jumla, then what happens? This shibhul jumla, whether it's a zarf or whether it's a jar majroor, what do we say? So if we have Zaydun fil bayt, Zaydun fil bayti. Okay, we have Zaydun fil bayt. Zaydun becomes what? Becomes what? Mubtada. Fil bayt becomes what? Khabar, yes? But what we say here, the shibhul jumla, it has to be linked to something. It's linked to the fa'il in jumla fa'liya. So here we said the fil bayt becomes linked to either mustaqirrun or is linked to a verb istaqarra, which is hidden. Okay? Yes? Okay? So fil bayt becomes the maf'ul fi of the istaqarra. Do you understand? But then we just make it khabar directly. Okay? And then what do we say? We call this. So this is mahzoof, but then what is left? We call this zarfun mustaqarrun. This is called zarfun mustaqarrun. The zarf mustaqar becomes the khabar. Yes? Similarly, if you have a zarf, not jar majrur, a zarf. If you say Zaydun indal bayti. So then indal bayt becomes what? Khabar. Zaydun becomes the mubtada. And inda is linked to what? Mahdhuf. Istaqarra or mustaqirrun. Okay? And then we say here, this is called, this kind of khabar is called what? This whole thing is called dharfun. So dharfun mustaqarrun. What's it called? Dharfun mustaqarrun. So the dharfun mustaqar becomes the khabar of the mubtada. Yes? And the fil bayt becomes the dharf mustaqar of the mubtada, the khabar. So the khabar is the dharf mustaqar. Yes? And that fil bayt becomes muta'alliq to mustaqir or istaqarra. Understood? Yes? Do you understand? Muhammad, you following?
or you helped or given
Yes?
assistance
Now,
except
you may have one question that when it came to the sila, we said the sila
mursalan that
can either be zarf, jar, majroor, but we said is muta'alliqani biwa.
because Musa ibn Sa'd is a tabi. So first you have
Muta'alliqani biwa.
is a mursal. What's the mursal narration?
And here we're saying it's muta'alliq with what? Mustaqirrun or istaqarra. Now, it's a technical difference. The benefit here is that remember, is sila has to be what? Does it have to be a jumla or can it not be a jumla? No, a sila has to be a jumla. A sila has to be what? A sila has to be a jumla. So if I say, for example, exactly. If I say, for example, Ra'aytu, I saw the one in the house. Ra'aytu alladhi fil bayt. So this jar majroor becomes muta'alliq to what?
But there's also another narration which is muttasil.
Does that become a jumla?
Yeah, it's coming. Look, so the translation here.
Yeah. If I say alladhi mustaqirrun fil bayt, does that become a jumla? So then here you don't have the option. In a sila, the jar, majroo or the dharf must become muta'alliq to istaqarra, which is mahdhuf, so it can become a jumla because the sila needs to be a jumla. As opposed to a khabar, the khabar doesn't have to be a jumla. So when you make it a khabar, you have a choice. You can make it muta'alliq to mustaqirrun or you can make it muta'alliq to istaqarra. So in a khabar, both are permissible. In a sila, only istaqarra is permissible. There's a technical difference that one, so the different schools of thought, some schools of thought say it is mustaqirrun, and some schools of thought say no, it's istaqarra, some say no, some say yes, we keep it istaqarra definitely easier all the time. Some say no, mustaqirrun has its own benefit from balagha, the jumla ismiya, it has thubut and not huduth. There's another discussion. But in jumla ismiya, when it's a khabar, you can make it muta'alliq to mustaqirrun or istaqarra. And in a sila, you can only make it muta'alliq to istaqarra. Understood? Yes? Thabitun as well. Thabitun or thabata. So you can have thabitun or thabata. But the books, either one of them is fine. Thabitun or thabata. But they prefer to use in the books istaqarra or mustaqirrun. فَلَمَّا رَآهُ مُسْتَقِرًّا إِنْدَهُ. So istaqarra comes in the Quran. So they probably use that word. I don't know why. But they chose istaqarra. They don't use thabata. Some people do, but mostly use thabitun or thabata. But istaqarra and mustaqirrun is a more common one. Fahimtum? Yes, it has to be thabata. Because then if you make it thabitun, then our sila is not a sentence. Yes? Understood? So we finish the ahwal of the khabar, the different circumstances of the khabar. We'll go on to the next debate or next question regarding mubtada and khabar later, insha'Allah. Okay? سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.